Let's talk about something we all go through, those difficult, sometimes really painful thoughts and feelings that can just take over. It's a totally human thing. But changing how we relate to them, well, that can change absolutely everything.
Does that one sound familiar? I am not good enough. So many of us have heard that voice, or something just like it, inside our own heads. And boy, can it feel real. It can feel like the absolute truth of who we are. But what if it's not? A good way to picture these thoughts is like inner bullies. They just show up, they're loud, they're mean, and they are persistent. So the obvious question is, what do we do about them? How do we make them stop? Well, most of us try one of two things.
So, on one hand, we fight. We try to argue back, right? We say, no, I am good enough. Or, on the other hand, we try to avoid them. We just push them down, try to distract ourselves, anything to just not hear it. But here's the crazy part. Both of those things, they just make the bully stronger. The fight itself seems to give it more power. It's a real catch-22. So if fighting and avoiding don't work, then what's the answer? Well, it starts by looking at this from a totally different angle. What if these inner bullies aren't actually bullies? What if they're more like misguided protectors? Let's dig into where they actually come from. I mean, it's a great question, isn't it? Why would our own mind create something that causes so much pain? It feels like it makes no sense at all. But believe it or not, there's actually a pretty good reason, and it has everything to do with survival. And here it is. This is the key. Those painful thoughts, those tough emotions, they were once part of a system that was trying to help you. It was designed to protect you, not to hurt you, even if it feels like that's all it's doing now. And you can see how this works, right? That feeling of anxiety, that might be an old, outdated alarm system screaming danger, danger when you're perfectly safe. Or think about a survivor of abuse. The thought, I am bad, might have actually been a coping strategy, a way to feel some sense of control in a situation that was completely out of their control. It's a way of saying, if it was my fault, maybe I can stop it next time. So you see, these parts of you, they did their job, a really important job. They helped you get through. But that job is done now. The goal isn't just about surviving anymore. It's about learning how to thrive. Okay, and this brings us to what is maybe the most powerful shift we can make. It's this practice of separating who we are from what we think, by seeing our thoughts not as facts about us, but just as symptoms. Just let that sink in for a minute. A painful thought is a symptom of distress. It is not a fact about you. It's not a true measure of your worth or your identity. It's just a piece of information, like a flashing light on a dashboard, but it is not the truth. And this analogy just makes it so clear. Think about it. If you have a fever, you don't walk around thinking, I am a fever. Of course not. You know it's a symptom that tells you your body is sick. We can learn to treat our painful thoughts in the exact same way. They're just symptoms of some underlying emotional distress. The second we can just acknowledge it, the moment we can say, oh, okay, there's that not good enough thought again. That's a symptom. We create a little bit of space, a gap between us, the person who is aware, and the thought itself. And you know what? In that little bit of space, that's where all our power is. All right, so that's the big idea, but how does it feel in practice? I want to invite you to just try a really small, simple experiment with me right now so you can feel the difference for yourself. So first, just gently bring a difficult thought to mind. Let's stick with, I am not good enough. Just say that to yourself, internally. And notice what happens in your body. That tightness, that sinking feeling. Just feel it for a second. Okay, now, let's just make one tiny little change. Instead, say this to yourself. I notice I am having the thought that I am not good enough. And again, just pause. Notice what happens this time. Do you feel that? That little bit of a shift? The thought's still there, but now you're the one noticing it. There might be just a little more room to breathe, a little less of a punch. That simple act, that little shift from believing a thought to noticing a thought, that's it. That's the start of a whole new path. It's a path that leads away from fighting with yourself and toward a much more peaceful way of being. Let this be your new go-to. These thoughts, these big feelings, they don't define who you are. They're just signals. That's it. They're asking for your gentle attention, not for a fight. So, what this really means is by just noticing, we learn how to unhook ourselves from all that intensity. We don't have to get pulled into the storm. We can see the wave coming, we can acknowledge it's there, and we can let it pass right on by without getting knocked over. And so, I want to leave you with this question to think about. When you stop fighting and you just start noticing, what becomes possible for you then? All that energy you were spending on the struggle, what could you do with it when you're free to just live your life?